Let's get those lineups set for Week 25. Next on Fantasy Baseball Today Express. Welcome to FBT Express. I'm Chris Towers here with Scott White, and we are chatting about Week 25. Get those lineups set for you, talking about the schedule. First up, we got 20 teams with 6 games on the schedule. You can do the math there. That means 10 teams have 7 games on the schedule. Those are the Guardians, Rockies, Royals, Angels, Marlins, Mets, Phillies, Padres, Mariners, and Nationals. Unfortunately for the Rockies, they do have 7 games. They're all away from Coors Field. They're all on the road. So start Hunter Goodman and sit everyone else, which isn't really that different from your normal weeks with the Rockies. Scott, let's do some starter sit for these 2 start pitchers. And there are a lot of 2 start pitcher options this week.
Yes, there are. There are 35.
Not a lot you actually want to use this week. So we'll start with Yuri Perez. Super talented pitcher. He's got decent matchups versus the Nationals and Tigers. You can't start him, right?
You can't, because 5 of the last 6 have been terrible. It's just too much downside risk. But what's funny about the 2 starts late this week, as you mentioned, 35 options. That's pretty normal. It's on the higher side. It's a lot, even with a lot of 6-man rotations right now. Yuri Perez ranks 12th among those 35, and yet he is the start of the final tier, the no thanks tier. So there are only 11 2-star pitchers that I'm considering in any league context, really, this week.
So the food was terrible, but at least the portions were big this week, I guess is the story.
I think that would apply.
Start Nick Lodolo. He's got the Padres and at Sacramento. Those are tough matchups.
They're tough matchups. He's a good pitcher, obviously. Second start back from a blister, and he's also returning from an illness. So he is just outside of the must-start 2-star pitcher tier, but I still think most people are going to use him.
And then you're sitting Aaron Nola, Sean Manaea, and Jose Barrios, right? Even with 2 starts?
Yeah, sort of like Yuri Perez, Aaron Nola, and Jose Barrios. The bad starts have been too frequent and too bad, I think, to justify using them. And Sean Manaea has just been really limited in the innings, and it's not like the ratios are great. So I think
a lot of strikeouts. That's the one thing you're getting from him.
And just in terms of per inning, a lot of strikeouts. It's not many strikeouts in number because the starts are so short.
All right. Because obviously the 2-start options this week aren't super great. There aren't a lot of options to add and stream, but there are a few.
There are a few.
Yeah. Let's hear them.
Luis Morales, I think, is the slam dunk. He is still available in more than a third of CBS Sports leagues, kind of surprisingly, as good as he's been. The matchups aren't great.
He's added a strikeout every start, I think, in 4 straight now.
There you go. The matchups could be better, Red Sox and Reds. But I think Morales is, when you're considering waiver wire pickups to stream, he's kind of on a different level in terms of talent, trustworthiness. That counts for more than the matchups, I would say. Cade Cavalli has great matchups. He's at the Marlins. He's hosting the Pirates. He's been up and down, but I think overall positive. It's been a positive for Cavalli. I think with those matchups, at least in a points league, you could roll the dice on him. And finally, Nabil Krismat of the Diamondbacks, who recently entered the rotation and has looked really good. Gets ground balls at a very high rate, so I think that makes for a high floor, particularly with matchups as good as the Giants and the Twins. I don't know that I'd use Nabil Krismat in a categories roto context because the whip might be on the high side, and I'm not sure there's enough strikeout appeal there. But for points leagues, I think he's worth looking into with those 2 favorable matchups.
All right, we're going to take a quick break. We'll be right back on FBT Express.
You can't count on Derek's tong skills.
Oh, Tony, I think it hit the ground.
But you can always count on Sundays with the NFL on CBS and Paramount+.
And we are back. Scott, why don't you finish off the pitchers for Week 25 with some 1-start streamers to look at?
So I should mention here that I have lowered for both the streamer pitchers and the streamer hitters. I've lowered the roster threshold from 80% to 75%. They can't be rostered in as many as 75% to qualify here. That's because at this late stage of the season, roster rates aren't moving as quickly. And so a lot of obvious guys are getting stuck in that 75 to 80% range. And I just can't reserve so many spots for them every week. On the pitching side, that means Jose Soriano is facing the Twins. I think that's a great play, but he's too rostered now to mention here. Kyle Bradish isn't, though. Kyle Bradish is only 70%, and he faces the Pirates, the best matchup of all. His second start back from the IL wasn't amazing, but overall, feel really good about the direction he's headed, and you love the matchup. Peyton Tolley will be making
he just shouldn't qualify for this.
Well, let's see how his second start goes over the weekend. Because if he falls flat, I think he's facing the Diamondbacks over the weekend, then that'll paint this next start that I'm mentioning here in a different light at the Athletics.
That's a tough one.
Tough place to pitch. They've performed really well against left-handers, actually, but I think Peyton Tolley, if he is as good as he appeared in his first start, I think the matchup's not something to care about because he's just going to be a bat-missing maniac. Zebby Matthews is a pretty good batmaster himself and faces the lineup most vulnerable to strikeouts, which is the Angels. Emmett Sheehan, in theory, is facing...
Cross your fingers.
Cross your fingers. If he stays on regular turn, he'll line up for the Rockies in Los Angeles. Great matchup, obviously, and he has looked great lately, pitching deeper into games overall, missing a lot more bats. It's just he doesn't have a dedicated rotation spot. Doesn't seem like anybody does for the Dodgers, really. They kind of just every other day, it's like they decide who's starting the next 2 days and then go from there. But in theory, Sheehan should face the Rockies. Tyler Wells looked good coming back from Tommy John surgery. A good whip specialist with decent strikeout ability, and he's facing the Pirates. Highly available, only 5% rostered. And finally, Parker Messick gets the White Sox.
All right, the best hitter matchups for Week 25. We mentioned those 10 teams with 7 games on the schedule. Well, 5 of them have the best matchups. The Mariners, Guardians, Royals, Marlins, and Padres. Those are the top 5 hitter matchups. They all play 7 games. The bottom 5, well, they all play only 6 games. What a surprise. Cardinals, Diamondbacks, Athletics, Rangers, and Red Sox. Scott, give us a few sleeper hitters to add to our
All
lineups.
right, so top of the list is Dalton Varsho, whose matchups aren't amazing, but they're fine. More, it's just Varsho himself has been amazing. OPS now over 1,000 over 900 on the year. It's over 1,000 against right-handers, and he's scheduled to face 5 of those. Only 45% rostered is Dalton Varsho. That needs to change regardless of the matchups. Jorge Polanco has been hitting a lot of home runs recently, playing every day now for the Mariners, and they have the most favorable matchups. The Twins just missed being among the 5 best hitter matchups, mostly because they're scheduled for just 6 games, but all 6 are against righties. That's not such a big deal for Royce Lewis. He's here just because he's hot, but it is a big deal for Trevor Larnach, who is also hot. He has 5 multi-hit games in his last 6, mostly singles, but still, he has some power. And it's also, all the righties is also good for Matt Wallner, who's always boom or bust and had been slumping after a pretty good August, but just homered Thursday. So hopefully he's back on track and take advantage of these matchups. Luis Garcia is on this list because Nationals are scheduled to face 5 righties. Righties are good for Luis Garcia. Guardians have the second best hitter matchups. I think Kyle Manzardo is the best candidate from their lineup.
He's starting against lefties now, too.
He is, and there are a couple of those on the schedule, but 5 righties as well. Isaac Collins in a righty-loaded schedule for the Brewers. He continues to be a nice, safe play. Harrison Bader, a surprising choice here, but he's been great since joining the Phillies. 310 batting average, 855 OPS, playing every day for them. Their matchups are pretty favorable this week. Otto Lopez has picked things up again, and the Marlins have the 4th best hitter matchups. And yeah, that rounds out the list.
All right, that's going to do it for FBT Express. We'll be back on Sunday/Monday. We'll see you then. Bye-bye.